So today I thought I'd share some of the surprises I've seen in retirement in this first 6 months. You know, after 38 years of working, I admit I didn't really have a sense of exactly what life after work would look like. But there are some things that have crept up that have surprised me, some good, some not as good, and so I thought I'd share those with you today. So the first thing is that I didn't really expect to feel so guilty about being retired, about not filling my day every day. And that guilt is finally fading. I think I shared that in my last video. But you know, for those of us who have worked for a long time, we've really tied maybe our value to our productivity. And the truth is we have value regardless. And honestly, I think that's something that I have embraced for a long time anyway. But the thing that was interesting was I didn't want to look lazy. I didn't want someone to think because I didn't have work to do, not as much about being productive, and maybe it wasn't about work, it was just things to do, because I would talk to other people who are retired who, you know, had a full schedule. It wasn't like they were doing something every minute of the day, but you know, oh, I'm going to make this jam or jelly, or oh, I'm taking my grandkids here, or I'm doing this or that. And so it seemed like there was lots of things planned out. And that wasn't really, or hasn't been, my story in these first 6 months. There was lots of activity early on, but in recent months, especially as I've spent time in Arizona and by myself, I don't have something every single day going on. And I'm learning that's okay. It's actually okay for me to sit outside at 9 o'clock at night and look at the stars and think about all the goodness in the world, because honestly, I think we have to think about it because it's not as obvious as it always has been in our lives. You know, the next thing is learning that stillness can actually feel good. I am someone who likes to keep busy, who likes to have things to do, or maybe it's expectations that I put on myself, or maybe that I allow others to, but it actually feels pretty darn good to sit and read a book, or have a cup of tea, or maybe do a little YouTube research. That's okay, and I'm learning to embrace that. It's the same as you know, deciding that you're going to go for a walk just for the sake of going for a walk, not to achieve a certain number of steps or try to hit a goal. And not that that's bad either. I am starting to weave some of that back in. I feel like this has been a little bit of a lesson in learning to be still, and now I feel like I can maybe get up and get a little momentum again, as long as I don't. There's no need to run on anything. Some of you may run, and that's okay, but yeah, I'm going to walk with Jesus. The next surprise was about what it feels like to say, I'm retired. You know, when you meet someone, one of the first things they ask after your name is, well, what do you do? And for me, there was definitely some pride in saying what I did in service to the American public, or what have you. And so saying the word, oh, I'm retired, doesn't feel right, at least not yet. And so it's just something I'm pondering. And it's kind of a surprise how much that does impact me, or how much I think about that. So, you know, I'm not done. I'm retired, but I'm not done with life. And so it'll be interesting to see, is there something else that could be said? I'd be curious if you have other words. You know, when you fill out your new doctor appointment and write retired in occupation, is that the thing that we write? I don't know. Maybe it is. You know, the other thing I miss is using my strengths, right? Problem solving, mentoring, leading. Those were all gifts that I felt like I honed and certainly used over the years, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't probably realize how much it energized me to do that. And so in this season, the task, the thing that I need to figure out is, how do I use those strengths in a way that'll still energize me? You know, to be clear, I don't want to go back to work. I'm not interested in going back to the job, but I'd love to find a way to get that same energy up and maybe use the gifts and talents that I have for good in some way. Now, one of the things I don't miss is the stress of work. This week has reminded me, as I think about my federal family, the stress of another opportunity for a shutdown, another opportunity to try to coach and lead our teams through challenging times. And, you know, as I worked in that industry for, you know, almost 4 decades, it just became the norm. We knew every year almost that we were facing the possibility of a shutdown in all the administrations. And I won't get into, you know, how I feel about that, except to say, you know, Congress has one job and they really should do it. And fund this, don't fund this. We really, you know, that's not what we're here to weigh in on. We're here to do the work for the people. But when the other folks aren't doing their work, it really makes it hard on federal employees. And so my heart is with them this week for one more year of dealing with this. I miss those folks. I love them, but I don't miss being there in the midst of it, of course. You know, the last surprise I'd say is that I have always known that freedom comes with responsibility, but I haven't thought about it in context of owning your own schedule, having the freedom to do what you want to do. Well, okay, I don't want to waste this season, so what does that look like? I want to enjoy the freedom I have, and yet I want to be responsible to make the most of it as well. And some of that does mean, I think, resting, regaining health, doing some of those things, but it's just something I'm pondering because I'm not sure I've got it figured out yet. But freedom is wonderful, but it comes with responsibility. And is that to me? Is that to my family? What is that to? So, one more of my ponderings. So if you've been retired, newly retired, or for a while, what things have surprised you the most? And how have you dealt with those? I think I really enjoy watching YouTube channels where people are sharing, maybe they're a few years ahead of me, and they're sharing where they're at and how they got to where they are. You know, there's one channel I really like to listen to, Small Retired Life. I think her name is Raina. And one of the things that she mentioned was that it took her several years to find the rhythm, to find what really she wanted to do and how she wanted to live in retirement and kind of settle into that. And I thought that was kind of brilliant and a little bit freeing to know that actually I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm just navigating this and trying to figure it out. And we'll get there. We'll get there. So if you've got any ideas, I'd love to meet you in the comments and see what your thoughts are. And maybe we can learn a little bit more together, navigate this season together. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.